ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति 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 All of you have to mentally chant this while he chants this often with the clearer meaning, understanding of the meaning. So we left with the last teaching on Aham Bhojanam Naiva Bhojyam Bhokta. When is this state reached? Actually, if one benchmark can be given for this, if in meditation any day, someday, in some birth, maybe this birth, someday it will happen for sure. That's why we are all born as human beings, to realize. So, on one day in the seat of meditation, of course, beyond the mind and intellect, beyond any objects in the creation, when a meditator reaches a state where there is no one in him to claim this expression, Aham Bhojanam Naiva Bhojyam Na Bhokta Hai. That moment he has reached that state, transcending the meditated, and meditation. Till the time we keep saying like parrot, we have not reached that. You have to cross that. Till the time we worry about sleep, we cannot sleep. We glide to sleep, we can sleep peacefully. Right? It's a huge benchmark, it's a huge milestone, big milestone to be reached in human life. Yesterday, while speaking to someone who was not clear about the goals and was beating around the bush, talking about various goals at mundane level, he corrected and said, there cannot be multiple goals in a human life, while all others are duties as per the dharma, as per the ashrama in which you are. The only goal, if you talk about goal, the only goal at a higher level, if one is clear, is to realize self or realize God. Or if one is here to reach that level, then the only goal at a level where one can understand, the only goal is to love God. and be with God, be in communion with God. That is the only goal. All others are duties which have to be performed as per the ashram. The brahmachari has a different duty, the grahastha has a different duty. A vanaprastha matures to a sannyasi, where there are literally no other goal except the self-realization. Let there be no confusion in that. All our practical goals, let us not take it to such a level that they eclipse and they cover the Atmik, Atma Vichara and the only goal. Let's listen to the 5th verse.
न मृत्युर्न शङ्का न मे जातिभेदः पिता नैव मे नैव माता च जन्म न बन्धुर्न मित्रं गुरुर्नैव शिष्यः चिदानन्दरूपं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपं शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम्.
The first expression can be as per the verse it is Namrityo Dashanka, but for more easier understanding, because when we say in poetic language, when you say Namrityo Dashanka, then a question may arise: Shanka, doubt about what? Uncertainty about what? Fear about what? So, for easier understanding, let us say Name Mrityu Shanka. So there the Shanka gets associated with the Mrityu, the fear of death, uncertainty about death, doubt about death. This is only for understanding, not to change Shankara's words. I have no fear of death, nor do I have death. No doubt about my existence, nor any distinction of caste. For me, the pure Aham, there can be no father, no mother, no birth, no relative, no friend. The self is neither the guru in form nor the disciple in form. I am existence absolute, knowledge absolute, bliss absolute. I am he, I am he, I am that, I am that, I am I am I. न मृत्यु न शंका और न मे मृत्यु शंका. When a person lives, we see him with his body. We have not known him holistically as self because we have not realized that we are ourselves are the self. So we grieve when someone passes away. After all the learning of all the initial verses, maybe he is not sure that he may give a gap next week for all of you to listen to all the 4 sessions, to be equipped, to be qualified, to be eligible enough to get into the last Aham. Maybe. After all the verses, initial sessions, we have to know that when a person dies, it is rather more clear to tell, to express this as when a body dies. The body lies there as a male body, as a female body, it lies there. The body lies with a certain age, 50, at the age of 55, so and so died, or so and so. By mistake, we identify that person with that body which is lying there with certain age, with certain sex, male or female. Whereas, what is happening in reality, an ageless, birthless, deathless soul travels along with the subtle body, stays for some time, and assumes another physical body. So, when maybe perhaps this body is not fit enough to clear the karmas, the soul decides to drop the body and travel. Whatever you thought about the person as that body with the age and sex, it is cremated or buried, whatever. Has the self died? What is death? Death is a door opening from one aspect of life to another. Death is cessation of bodily physical activity, of physical organic functions, of physical consciousness. In simpler words, he taught about the death and he also poured in the WhatsApp group on death. Relating to the Drisha Lake sessions, he said that when the body becomes weaker, when the mind and intellect become weaker, they are not as sharp at all as they used to be in our prime youth or in our 30s or 40s. It is as though the intellect was understood as the water in the pot which absorbs the original pure consciousness and then reflects it to the mind, intellect, senses, etc. It was understood that the water is coming down, 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 down. The vessel, the body is becoming weaker, weaker, weaker. The water level is coming down and the water is no more there when the nerves almost cease to function, when the intellect and the mind is not able to grasp anything. At that point of time, the prana leaves the body with the subtle body. his soul travels. Any great human being, any scientist, any artist, any most distinguished human, to the extent even incarnations, they have all come and gone. Rama, Krishna, Shirdi Sai Baba, Satya Sai Baba, Guru Nanak, anyone. Do they still exist? What is there on the other side of the death? Have they become non-existent, or have they dwindled into some nothing? They have gone to nothinglessness. Such questions can arise in the mind of a spiritual seeker at some point of time or the other. The same question arises today as it arose thousands of years ago in spiritual seeker called Nachiketa in the Kathopanishad. Without getting into detail, he asks for 3 boons. 2 of them are granted by Lord Yama, who has come to take him. And the 3rd boon is exactly the same question. The 3rd English translation of the 3rd question, 3rd boon says, "O Lord, they say there is a soul. They say there is no soul. When a man is dead, some say he still exists. Some say he does not. Some say it is born. Some say it dies. Some say it is not born. Some say it is not. It doesn't die. I want to know about this, the birth and the death, and what happens after death, after understanding what is death. Teach me about this. This is my 3rd boon." This answer to this opens up the entire Vedanta. So, seeing the age of that tender age of that young boy Nachiketa, Yama tries to avoid answering this question. It says he tempts that boy with kingdom, with dances, with any loka he wants. But seeing the conviction of that boy, he doesn't hear a word about any of the other temptations. He says, "If you, the Lord of Death, cannot teach me death, then who can teach me death?" Then, ultimately, Yama reveals. We will come to the answer a little while after. Man is afraid of death. Man doesn't want to die. He wants to live forever. Man identified himself with this body, so he does not want to lose this body. We know the story of Vishwamitra, where he wanted someone not to die, and if that was refused, he attempted to create a 3rd world, Trishank. We know this story. So he doesn't want to leave this world. Even Ravana asked for something like that. Even Hiranyakashipu asked for some. They gave a loop as per this story, which the Lord caught, and they were slain ultimately. Due to my identification with my body, I identify everyone in this creation with their body. I don't even leave the incarnation. I identify the incarnation also with the body. If A portrait projects Sri Rama or Sri Krishna without all those bhushana, with all that attire and all that this thing and that radiant eyes and face and all. I am not satisfied. I keep aside and I look for a more beautiful painting. Man is so used to associating with this body that God also he can perceive only with form. So, first session, Mano Buddhya Hankara, we said that 23 hours we think about ourselves as a body and God as a God with body, and 10 minutes we want to meditate and then transcend our body and transcend that physical form of the body. Not possible. He cannot afford to lose his body. So, without any rhyme or reason, he is that on seeing the death of even an unknown person, unknown body. He cries at the seeing the passing away of the body of the incarnations, also not even knowing that they choose when to come, when to leave. It is their portfolio. And we are not capable enough to ascertain or to find a reason why did they leave or why did they leave so early. At human level, it is beyond our comprehension. We have to just accept. To the extent throughout lifetime, like in movies, it is shown two villages, brothers, they have become enemies like that. Or we call it as Bengali in Tamil. One may be enemy throughout the lifetime. When that enemy dies, then also this person cries. They were at daggers drawn against one another throughout their life. He has died. It is not for his death. It is for the fear of my body's death that I am not able to see any body die. Think about it. You don't cry for anybody as such. Okay, leave alone your mother, father, very close people. Why do you cry at unknown person's death? Any death is shown in movie, we cry. Why? It is such strong association with our body. The fear, Mrit Shanka, doubt grips it. It aggravates the fear of our death. One day we cry. Right or wrong, whatever. Why all these things happen? From the shores of Ganges, from Ananda Kutir, the sage answers. The file has gone 1 minute. How to find some solution for this iPad issue. Since it is all touchpad, you touch a round point, there the file goes. The sage from Ananda Kutir answers all about why these things happen. One minute. He says, this inquiry about death, this fear of death, he says, in fact, this is the starting point of philosophy. Philosophy inquires and investigates. And then the philosophy teaches a man, oh man, do not be afraid of death. There is an immortal about Prashanti. That is Brahman. That is your own Atman that dwells in the chamber of your heart. Purify your heart and meditate on this pure, immortal, changeless self. You cannot die because you were never born. Birth and death are two false scenes in the unreal drama of Maya. They concern the physical sheet only, Annamaya Kosha, a false product formed by the combination of the 5 elements. He goes on, cut it short. He explains, the fruit perishes, but the seed is full of life. The seed dies, but a huge tree grows out of the seed. The tree perishes, but it becomes a coal which has a rich life, a new life. The physical sheet is only thrown, but life persists. Bhishma had death in his command. Savitri brought back Satyavan to life through her power and chastity. Markandeya conquered death through the worship of Shiva. Now to the answer. Before this, Yama goes through various. He explains that as Om. It becomes a Kathopanishad session by itself, which had to be given 2 parts to few sadhakas. Most difficult, most profound sessions are the Kenopanishad, Kathopanishad, Yoga Vasishta, and the latest Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Extremely subtle, extremely subtle. So, after going through a series, building up the momentum for the main answer, the final answer, there are several verses where Yama takes over and Lord Yama takes over and answers. Before he comes to this answer, the final answer, this is in Kathopanishad given as the final answer. For the question, what happens when someone dies? Whether he exists or he does not exist. Somebody says he exists, somebody says he does not exist. Somebody says the body is born, somebody says the body is never born. What happens? What is this? All this. Lord Yama answers. Na jayate mriyate va vipaschit nayam kutaschit babhuva kaschit ajar nitya shashvata aham purana na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Curious sadhakas can refer to Bhagavad Gita. There is almost a similar verse in Bhagavad Gita. He's not going to tell the chapter. That is why Bhagavad Gita is also an extension of Upanishad, because there are several verses exactly taken from various Upanishads in the Bhagavad Gita. One who travels through the Upanishads and then comes to Bhagavad Gita, the joy cannot be expressed. The intelligent Atman is not born, nor does he die. He did not spring from anything, and nothing sprang from him. This unborn, eternal, everlasting, ancient is not slain even when the body is destroyed. Atman is not born. It is not produced, nor does it die. The various modifications are incidental to a thing which is produced and not eternal. Vipaschit, intelligent. See how Chinmaya describes this Vipaschit. Because why, while describing Atman, the intelligence should come. Where we say, It has to be experienced beyond intellect, beyond mind. There, Chinmaya's awareness coupled with his vocabulary and his transcendental state speaks volumes. He did not want to touch upon this commentary, but this Vipashit he has to touch. And you call it coincidence. Today morning he took this book. He has not referred to this book for this. And he says, okay, let us see if Chinmaya has any unique point on this which cannot be missed out for the devotees. You may call it coincidence. He just opens the book. Exactly the same verse comes. Exactly same. Early morning, 5 o'clock. It can be coincidence if you think it is a coincidence. Vipaschit. We must note here that the word Vipaschit is used for Atman and it is no accidental usage or meaning blown into it due to the circumstances. It comes from the root vip, to quiver or tremble. Hence its adjective vip is equal to inspired. Its noun vipas is equal to inspiration. So vipaschit is equal to knowing inspiration. Born of the knowing inspiration, born of the experience of the pure knowledge. So he has equated vipaschit with Atman, not intelligent here. That is Chinmaya. If Upanishad has to be taken up at a transcendental, beyond creation level, one has to take up Shivanandaji Maharaj's commentary or his disciple Krishnanandaji Maharaj's commentary. If one has to intellectually understand Upanishad and then to start with after Mananam to take up the Nididhyasanam part, then Chinmaya's books is the only rescue. But after this, lot of Nididhyasanam is required. Krishnanandaji Maharaj's book, it's Nididhyasanam by itself. Not easy to touch. So there are 4 or 5 expressions of this Atman, Aja, unborn, Nitya, eternal, Shashvata, everlasting, undecaying, Shashvatoyam, Shashvata, Aham, this Atman, Purana or Puratana, you can say ancient. Why ancient? Because that which undergoes development of its parts, then it is said to be new. A body can be born as new. Anything undergoing modifications can be referred to as of recent. You have recently seen that. You have recently, not Puradana, not Purana. This is ancient. Ancient because ancient means before creation, not with respect to creation. Olden times, no, beyond times. Nahanyate, he is not, Atman is not slain or affected. Hanyamane sharire, even though the body dies. Though in the body, in the cave of one's heart, the Atman, it exists as Akasha, space. Directly it connects to the pot space and the universal space. Okay, you can say the self is within the heart, your body, your ghost, it expands, it merges. The drawing is erased in the pure canvas. The part of the pure canvas is exactly the same as the whole canvas. There is no. So it is Gaganopamoham, Avadhuta Gita. So it is like the space existing here. The body may go, the space expands, merges, the space is as it is. It doesn't undergo any change. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, in fact, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad sessions started with this first part to the sadhakas. There are various Brahmanas in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. This is in the Madhu Kanda, there is this Udgita Brahmana. In that, this comes our often repeated expression Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. As priests recite the chanted word, its meaning comes from prayer within. From untruth, lead me onto truth. From darkness, bring me to light. From death, take me to deathlessness. We are all getting into this in the context of death. Name Mrityu Shanka. From Asat to Sat. From the non-existent, real, unreal to the existent, pure existence, real Sat of the Satyam Jnanam Anantam or Sat Chit Ananda Sat. The world in which we are living is the world of death. It is called Mrityu Loka, the realm of dying, and therefore it is equated with the world of unreality. That which dies, that which goes, that which leaves cannot be Shashvatam. It cannot be eternal. It has to be unreal because it leaves, it goes. We are saying, is there any issue in the, oh, it has got the, yeah, okay. Okay. We say Asato Ma Sadgamaya. Now we have to experiment, we have to inquire into one thing, whether there is something called Asat or not. Why we are saying lead me from Asat to Sat? Asat is non-existent actually. Asat is our misapprehension, our notion caused due to our own avidya. There is nothing called Asat. That is why it is said that everybody is divine. There is no Asat in the creation at all. Everybody is divine. We have forgotten that we are divine because of the avidya which has gripped us. So we are living in this Mrityu Loka, in the world of Asat, by mistaken notion. There is nothing called Asat at all. Why? Brahman is described as Anantam. Anantam or Purnam, whole, everything is that. That is Sat. Brahman is also Sat. Satyam Anantam. If we believe that there can be something called Asat, then there has to be another universe, another world where this Asat also exists, because apart from the Sat Anantam, it is not possible because Sat has been understood as Anantam. So if it is Anantam, it cannot have the boundary for the Asat to be existing outside the boundary of Sat. This session requires 2-3 times listening, especially for those who have not undergone this Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman sessions and all. 2-3 times you will have to listen. So there is no asat at all. It is our ignorance. That is why to clear it out, the second line goes tamaso ma jyotirgam, from ignorance to illumination. There is nothing called asat. Is described in Vedanta as son of a barren woman who cannot bear child at all. Is it possible? It is not possible. So there is nothing called asat. There is nothing called no human being who is not divine. Not possible in the creation. Creator has not created anybody by default as demonic, not as divine human. All this we have done to ourselves. So we have to uncloud all this clouding which we have done to this pure soul, pure Atman, so that the real identity within us, the divinity, shines in all its pristine glory to match the Koti Surya Samatejas Swarupa. So that the Atman, this shining Atman, merges Surya Sama in that shining Brahman. There being no distinction at all. Tamas to Jyoti. Tamas is equal to darkness, is equal to darkness of ignorance, is equal to avidya, is equal to death. For removing any darkness in any room, we bring in the light. Here, for removing the darkness of ignorance, we have to bring in the vidya, the knowledge, the illumination of Brahma Vidya. Now our main agenda, Mrityorva Amritam Gamaya. Lead me from death to that which is immortal. This line you may have to listen 3, 4, 5 times the New Year sadhakas. It to another becomes necessitated on account of there being an element of reflected in the apparent. The apparent has to be disregarded, the real has to be embraced. Okay, let me explain that also. The rise of consciousness from one state to another, from the Mrityorma Amritam, is necessitated because the Amritam, that pure consciousness state, that pristine glory, that shining state, that Atman, that state of realization, that is the only reality. Like he told the child yesterday, that the only goal is to realize God, to love God. There is no other goal. All other goals are in your Artha Kama. Do it, no problem. But don't say that the mirage in the desert may look like water, but don't ever say that is water. That is wrong. So the reality being Amritam, that Najayate Namriyate Katopanishad, unborn, never die Atman, that being the reality, by mistaken notion due to avidya, due to tamas, in the Mrityuloka, in the mortal world, in this world of bondages, in the world of objective pursuits, there seems to be some reality which is a total misapprehension. So the necessity of consciousness to arise from here to here is there because by mistake there seems to be an element of reality here which is wrong. So anything wrong has to be discard it, so that the consciousness arises from here to here, and we call it as death by mistake. Difficult. Contemplate. The teacher always cannot be giving easier puzzle, easier questions. You have to evolve. It has been now 2-3 years ever since we started the blog. You also have to evolve. That is the mission. So the prayer is for total rise from this involved, insufficient, conditioned being to the absolutely independent, unconditioned being, which is simultaneously all the three things put together: Sat, Jyoti, Amrita. Existence, illumination, consciousness, omniscience, and immortality. No rebirth is possible there. Here, an Acharya says that even existing with the reflected consciousness is also tamas in one extent, to some extent, because if we are satisfied living with the reflected consciousness for several years altogether, it is ignorance, it is darkness. We will stay as it is. It is a state of tamas. That is why tamaso ma jyotirgamaya comes. It is a state of tamas. So from tamas to sattvic and sattva, if we have to go, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, we have to transcend even the aham kriti of the Drisya Viveka. We have to discard even this reflected consciousness existence and rise, evolve to the unconditioned existence, pure consciousness. Amritam Gamaya. We are going to cross the time limit. Don't limit him. Like this session and next session, don't limit him, please. Name Jati Veda. We have learned in the previous session, second or first session, I think first session, that any division creates an identity. And identity creates thoughts. Thoughts propelled by avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha. And such thoughts arise, give birth to actions, blinding the intellect. And those actions fetches us karma. Okay. Now we are talking about the division of jati. In that context, if you see, the planets get divided into continents. The continents get divided into countries. Countries to state. State to districts. Districts to cities. Various locations in cities. And then there is a division based on languages within the same city also. How many divisions? And based on religion, based on language, independent India got divided into two countries. Some stuck there, some stuck here. When the body itself is realized as untruth, Nacha prana samya, name panchavayu, all those things. Body itself is Nacha shrotra jivve, all those first and second verses. When the body itself is not considered as truth, then what is the relevance of the jati of this body? This is only a limited understanding. More enlightening after the Asatoma Sadgamaya is the body is never born. The Atman is never born. The Atman can never die. And therefore, there is no doubt, Nami Mrityu Shanka, there is no death or no fear of death. Then what jati can I attribute to myself? The Atman, the pure consciousness. This is a more, the grandeur level. Let us go to Brihadaranyaka Upanishad again. Third session, I think, given to the sadhakas. Talking Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. A verse explains like this. Verily there was Brahman in the beginning. Beginning here is not in the Aitareya Upanishad or in some Upanishad also. Atmava ekam idam agra asit. I think Aitareya Upanishad. There only that existed. Then the Dvaita people come into argument. They say, so you say that there was. That means that means it is not now here. There was. The creator was. The Brahman created the universe was. You have already put Advaitins, you have put the Brahman into past tense. There was this thing, creation. There was that Brahman. Where is he now? Then the Advaitin answers that frustrations. Let me try to explain to you. This was is explained in the context of something which you are not referring to. Why it is told as was? Because was is referred to beyond the time-space phenomena. It is even you are telling with reference to time that was, so it cannot be now. The Advaita explains Atman or the Brahman existed. So the verily there was Brahman in the beginning. Then rulers or gods were created. Indra.
Okay. So the rulers were created, and then Brahmanas emerged. The Brahmanas worshipped the rulers. That is the rulers. Who are the rulers here? Varuna, Indra, Soma, Rudra, etc. So in the Vedic rituals, we can see Brahmanas worshipping all of them. The rulers in return worshipped Brahmanas, who were considered as source, the link between them and Brahman. Okay. If you go back to the Satya Yoga, there was no government required. Dharma prevailed totally. So there would be just worship, the Brahmanas worshipping the rulers, and that's it. But gradually it is said that adharma started, and these pious Brahmins were unable to protect the innocent from adharma. So To protect the virtuous and the innocent, the Kshatriyas emerged. Okay. The Kshatriyas sat on the throne, and Brahmana started seats. They were seated below them, but both revered each other. The Kshatriyas knew that my dharma, only Atma dharma, is to take the Brahma Vidya from the Brahmana. Still, the greater tasks of governance became difficult. Then the Vaishyas were created. Vasu, Rudra, Aditya, Vishwadeva, Marut. They are all gods in this Vaishya. To sustain the economy, Vaishyas. Still, the Virat could not establish the greater task, so he established Shudras, Pushan, the earth. The earth is verily Pushan because it nourishes all this. Still not satisfied, ultimately to govern all this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, the source Brahman, the Virat, created righteousness, what is called Dharma. Okay, so there was this Dharma established for all of them. That this is the way you have to conduct yourself. The Creator assigned fire to act as Brahmana. Fire is taintless deity among the entire group of gods. Fire became as a Brahmana among men by virtue of spirituality. Same fire became Kshatriya by virtue of rulership, Vaishya by virtue of economic position, and Shudra by virtue of serving manpower. Fire grants them all the desired objectives because of its purity and purifying nature. Now, Brahmana among human was and must be even now the embodiment of purity, truthfulness, righteousness, and self-control, wisdom, intuition, etc. So the other three sections, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, looked up to Brahmana for gaining all these objectives and for Brahmanyana. Brahmanas were most revered in the ancient world. They were pure and they imparted Brahma Vidya to all, from king to the common man. For all the three also, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra also, while they were given the Dharma code of conduct for doing their own duties to protect and to sustain the economy and to serve, the ultimate one Dharma, one Atma Dharma given to them, instructed to them, was to take up Brahma Vidya under Brahman. Each of the four, if they do not really act as per the duties assigned to them, they cannot carry any achievement along with them at the end. So the Brahmanas, not as a matter of privilege, but as a part of their dharma, the duty assigned to them, they must impart Brahma Vidya to all. And the all other three, without assuming any supremacy for any of their actions, they have to take up the Atma Dharma. Atma Dharma under the Brahmana. So, what knowledge should Brahmanas teach as per this Brihadaranyaka Upanishad verse? Atmanam eva lokam upasita. The world that you behold with your eyes is the self of all beings. The Brahma Vidya is the only knowledge which had to be imparted by Brahmana. The Brahma Vidya is the only knowledge which all the three had to get. So even in the apparent division of the four caste system, the Upanishad concludes by saying that the Brahmanas must perform their dharma sincerely by imparting knowledge to the other three, and the other three must perform their dharma, only dharma, to take the knowledge from the Brahmana and evolve to take up worship, to take up reverence of self. And upon the realization of self, irrespective of what jati at caste is, all of them reach the source of fire and exist as the source of source Brahman. While at absolute state, the immortal self, there is no jati at all. Even in the jati originally propounded, as given in the Upanishads, the division was for performing the respective dharma and not for anything else. What the society saw afterwards was the deviation from dharma of all the four at various time phases, deviating from this thing and taking up adharma. And that is what we see as the caste system. It was not at all the way the Upanishad gave this. Name jati beda. Ultimately, everyone has to acquire the Brahma Vidya and everyone must realize self, wherein there can be no division, no identity apart from the self. There is some 14-15 verses of the Hasta Amalaka Stotram. He has no time to describe in this state, this thing. To put it very briefly, a dumb boy is there in the village and Adi Shankara goes and asks him that, who are you? And at that point of time, the boy comes up with 13-14 verses. The first verses being the Adi Shankara's question. And the first is the answer, immediate answer comes from this boy who was later given the name who became a great acharya under Adi Shankara. Later, Hasta Amalaka means the boy says that I can see, I can know this self as clearly as I can Hasta, hand, Amalaka, my hand. Exactly in the same way, I can be aware of this. Is who are you? Asks Adi Shankara. He says, Na aham manushyo, na cha deva yaksho, na brahmana kshatriya vaishya shudra, na brahmachari, na grihi vanasto, na aham nija bodha rupa. Every verse of the Hasta Amalaka Stotram ends with this nija bodha rupa. I am neither a human being, nor deva, nor yaksha. I am neither a Brahmin, nor Kshatriya, nor Vaishya, nor Shudra, name jati bedah. I am neither unmarried, nor householder, nor one living in the forest. I am also not a mendicant, but I am the form, Nija Bodha Rupaha. I am the form of true knowledge. Cutting short, we will go to na bandhur, na mitram, na guru, naiva shishya. Neither am I a guru nor a disciple. We will cover this under two parts. So how the shishya has to approach the guru and how the guru sees the shishya and how this ultimately culminates to na guru, naiva shishya. After the sadhana chatushtaya, when the shishya approaches the guru, what has to be the approach? What has to be the attitude, approach of the shishya towards the guru? See, the scriptures are like forest. There are passages that are apparently contradictory. In Bhagavad Gita, you get to read so many apparently contradictory verses. There are that are apparently contradictory, and others that have esoteric meanings, diverse significance, hidden, subtle secrets. One needs a Shrotriya Brahmanishta Guru who will explain the right meaning, who will remove the doubts, ambiguities, who will place before the Shishya the essence of the teachings. The Guru is actually Sadguru Brahman himself. He is ocean of bliss, knowledge, and mercy. Guru is the Moksha Dwara. He is the gateway to the transcendental truth, consciousness. But it is the aspirant, the Shishya who has to enter through the Dwar. Guru can help you reach up to the Dwar, entry, and within to experience that moksha liberation, the aspirant has to take the effort. One's individual ego, preconceived notions, pet ideas and prejudices, and selfish interests should be given up. All these stand in the way of carrying out teachings and instructions of one's Guru. Our own ego, our own preconceived notions, our own intellectual understanding of the scriptures, they block us. That is why you have to leave all your understanding, all your knowledge, all your notions about everything of the scriptures, A to Z of spiritual knowledge. You leave at the doorstep of the kutir of your Acharya and then go with the empty heart where he loads you, he gives you the Brahmanyana. Half filled or quarter filled or fully filled pot cannot take more water. You have to be empty for the Yukteswar to tell to Mukunda, allow me to work through you. Now, so much has been told about the Shishya. Now, while all these things are from the Shishya's point of view, how a Guru sees the Shishya from the very beginning, from the first day, or accept him as Guru or no, let him tell the truth, how he sees you all. Even when the disciple starts learning, a true Guru knows that it is all about serving the disciple for the disciple to know his true identity. For him, the disciple or all human beings, for him, all of you are verily Brahman. There is no iota of doubt about it. That is why with Sahana Bhavatu, the reverence flows from both sides, from the Guru, not only from the Shishya. The Guru reveres the Shishya as much as the Shishya reveres the Guru. The Guru teaches everything that was taught by his own Sadguru to him without keeping anything as a reserve. He pours out everything. He gives the Brahmanyana day in and day out, 25/7, 24.5/7 to the Shishya in abundance. He often says to the sadhakas, few sadhakas, that the God in the path of devotion, Bhagavan, and in the path of jnana, the Acharya, they are the most selfless existence in this creation. Why? Because even while a bhakta holds on to the feet of the God. Even while a Shishya holds on to the feet of his Guru, and even while a Bhakta, the Shishya, look upon the God or the Guru as something unattainable beyond their reach, he keeps getting answers when he gives from few sadhakas, "Go Guru, when we will reach that state, when we will reach your state, when will the day come for us, we don't know." He only smiles, because that is why I'm here, to help you to reach to the door of that state. Even while they look upon the God or the Guru, awestruck that how much is the gap, what is the existence level of my Acharya, or what is Swami, where is Swami, where and how I will reach so far. That too प्यार का सागर है, song is an आंख है धुंधली, जाना है सागर पार. That line comes, पंख है कोमल, कैसे मैं वहां पे पहुंचूं. Even while they are at that state, selfless being the God or the Guru, what their mission is, what they are doing, they are teaching to them day in and day out to make them independent, to release them from their feet, to make them totally independent, to make them transcend the form of Guru or the God, and to make them realize that Name Guru Naiva Shishya, there is neither Guru nor Shishya. They are relentlessly, tirelessly, day in and day out, minute by minute, hour by hour, working to release that dependence of the Bhakta or the Shishya from them. If this is not selflessness, then what is selflessness? For the disciple to whisper, I am neither the Guru nor the disciple, the disciple cannot even imagine that he will reach that state. The Guru is working on Shishya to reach that state from the first day the Shishya enters the Guru's kutir. And at last, when a disciple discovers the true identity as self, Atman, the role of the Guru gets over. Now, where is the Shishya? Upon realization, upon getting freedom. At this point, and from hereafter, the disciple still reveres the master, still prostrates to the master, still sings the glory of his master. But while doing all this, he crosses the limited individual that the Guru appears to be, as he has crossed the limited individual identity of himself. So the tattva remains, the essence remains, the form goes. The essence is always there because the essence has merged with the essence. It is the essence which exists, but the form as disciple, the form as Guru is gone. Name Guru Naiva Shishya. Knowing fully well that the disciple has discovered the very self, the Guru is asking him, this is the last part of the Moksha Gita. And it is all about the Guru asking the Shishya asking the Guru, and the Sanskrit verses being written by the Guru Shivanandaji Maharaj, and the commentary being written by the Shishya. One unique treatise in the creation, combination of the Guru and the Shishya, both realized. The Guru is asking. This is the stage of neither Guru nor Shishya. At that stage, the Guru is asking, "Oh my child, has all your delusion been destroyed? Have you become fearless now? Have your doubts been removed? Are you resting now in your own Satchit Ananda Swarupa? I have declared to you, I have revealed to you the profound secret of Vedanta, the essence of Vedas." The disciple answers, this is the whisper. "O preceptor, I have realized the self now. I am verily the Brahman, the Satchit Ananda Swarupa, which is self-effulgent, one without a second, which is changeless, partless, formless, eternal, all-pervading, the absolute and homogeneous essence." I am Satchitananda Brahman. I am pure, infinite, unattached, timeless, motionless, deathless, decayless, and fearless. I have no connection with the body and mind. I am actionless, formless. The disciple declares the state of the highest realization of self. I am the all blissful, blessed Brahman. I am the source of the great Omkara. I am without all modifications of the mind and the body. I am immortal, for I am everything, so I can never die. I am the all, self of all, self in all. I am timeless and speechless, spaceless. I am the infinite fullness, Purnavastu, the Bhuma. I am the absolute existence, which is of very nature of the supreme, unbroken awareness or consciousness. And to end, he says, salutations unto thee, O venerable Guru. Thou hast saved me from the wheel of birth and death. Through thy grace, I have attained immortality and eternal bliss. All my doubts, delusion, and ignorance have vanished. Crores of prostrations unto thee, O merciful Lord. Yes, it is true that the disciple has crossed the identity of his BMI, his Shishyahood, and the identity of his Guru as BMI, as the purpose of the Guru Shishya Parampara has now been fulfilled when the disciple confirms that he has attained realization. But the Guru lives in his heart forever as the essence, Tattvam, as Brahman. Like Brahman is unmanifest and still worshipped in form with reverence, his Guru has now become a star somewhere on the sky, gone from this creation upon his passing away, but the reverence to him as the essence stays eternally. On the 23rd of November, on the 24th of April, on some such occasions, he visits Sadan, sits alone with the Sadguru, his guide and his God, his side, and prostrates, and there are tears. In the prostration, in those tears, in that reverence, there is neither the Shishya in form nor the Guru in form. Name Guru Naiva Shishya. It is all beyond the identity of both of them. The prostrations are on, the blessings are received in abundance, but neither of them exist in form. The disciplehood has gone, the Godhood has gone. There is no thought in the disciple, the erstwhile disciple, anymore that he is the disciple and here is the Guru or here is the God. But what happens between them still, no words can describe that. Upon realization, a disciple can understand. Before that, one cannot understand. That essence, the form goes of the Guru. The identity of the Shishya is lost. But that which is now existing as the essence, which was possible only due to the Guru, the Master, that essence takes over. The sadhaka turned into seer now. The disciple turned into the self-realized yogi himself now. That existence is so supreme and so complete and so wholesome. And the background that it was all because of that Guru, that stays forever and ever without any thought of Guru in form, without any thought of himself, the disciple in form, but that which exists, and that whatever exists between them who have been the Shishya and the Guru, what exists thereafter the Shishya's realization, that is something which has to be existed upon. There are absolutely no words to describe that, what it is. In fact, the real significance of the Guru as the essence, Tattva, that expands to the Anantam, because he himself being Anantam Brahman, that expands. Prior to that, it was limited to the Kutir experience and form between the Guru and the Shishya. But yes, he says, Na Guru, Naiva Shishya, but then that essence has expanded to such Anantam, in which the Guru and the Shishya have merged together, and now both of them exist as one single star in the creation. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham, Shivoham. That is whispered and revealed in the answer given to the Guru by the Shishya in the Moksha Gita towards the end, that I am birthless, deathless, motionless, actionless, decayless, Sat Chit Anand. There is no birth, and hence there is no death for me, the pure Sat, the pure Jyoti, the pure Amritasya Putra. Name Mrityu Shanka, Name Jati Beda hai. Even if the caste is there, their duties are given to them. And when one truly performs the dharma as per his varna, he transcends this division of the castes totally, with only one goal, God realization. Till you reach to that level as devotees, there is only one goal: to love God, to be in communion with God, to be speaking to the God, to keep Sai as companion. Ultimately, you have to rise to that level of only one goal, of realization that me and you are one. And for that Sat, that Jyoti, that Amrita, there can be no Mitra, there can be no Mata. And since there has been no birth at all. See, if in the sequence of the existence, birth, growth, disease, decay, death, you remove two things from this, the birth and the death, you remove. Once the birth is removed and the death is removed, there is no relevance of the growth, disease, decay. What remains is that pure existence, for which there is no Mata, no Pita, because it is Ajaya, Nitya, Shashvata, Aham, Puratana, Kathopanishad, ancient. Na Guru, Naiva Shishya. But it is now the whatever remains post realization between the Guru and Shishya is Guru Naiva Shishya, but it is something far, 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 far beyond that which has to be existed upon, which cannot be described through words. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Hari Om Tat Sat. Your Sairams, okay. You're able to chat. Okay. Prostration to all of you, Satchidananda Brahma. Know that it would take some time for us to club the two sessions and bring it to one. Till that time, you can go through the link. Definitely, all the parts, the initial part about the death and about the jati and about the guru, Shishya, it requires lot of contemplation, especially on the death part. Jai Sai Ram.